Hello everyone, how's it going? Dr. Incompetent here, and let's do a review of Tower Song, shall we? So, Tower Song is a game I've been playing on the channel, and I checked it out in an earlier version, and then now I've been playing a kind of preview of the full release of the game, which comes out on June 20th. And I thought I'd like to kind of put all of my thoughts together about the game into a review. So what is Tower Song? Tower Song is a throwback RPG inspired by SNES games, and you're going to feel that kind of old school RPG, JRPG vibe within the game. However, it's brought to life by a lot of modern conveniences that make the quality of life far improved to some of those games. So, for example, there's no random encounters, there's no grinding, really, and there's no wasting of resources. So what does that mean? Well, in the game, you'll see the enemies on the map that you're going to have to fight, and there's only a few of them, and usually when you fight them, it will clear out the entire area so you can explore it and just walk around at your own pace without having to worry about getting into a random encounter, which I like very much. But moreover, there is no grinding, because regardless of who's in your party, or how many people you have or whatever, the entire account basically gets kind of like leveled up at certain milestones, and everyone just gets to next level, and it unlocks new power content for your character to get stronger at certain areas. So you don't have to worry like, oh well, this boss is too hard, I'm gonna have to take forever to kind of level up to get these spells or do whatever. That is removed. Moreover, there's no wasting of resources, so like if you're crafting an item, and there'll be several different choices when you're crafting. What do I want to make? Do I want to have a sniper rifle, for example, that does more damage but only can hold a certain amount of bullets? Or would I rather use an assault rifle that can take more bullets so you don't have to reload as often, but does slightly less damage and is less accurate? These sorts of choices you can make, but what's cool is, if you don't like what you've crafted, you can just disenchant it or disassemble it and get the full refund of the crafting materials and try something else. So you're not punished with having to go get more, resources or anything like that. Additionally, there's no real grinding either, where there's no fear of getting into a battle, because after the battle's over, you completely restore your resources. So your hit points, your healing items, and your mana, or whatever your character's secondary resource is, it just restores. So you can really just kind of focus on each battle as a puzzle that you need to solve, and in that spirit, the game takes a lot of inspiration from card-based games like Slay the Spire, where you can see what the enemy's intents are, so you know what the enemy is going to do, and then you can plan your turn. And what I love about it is, because you're going to get your stuff back, you can just use your most powerful abilities and attacks and feel really strong. But also, the battles are challenging, which is a nice blend. And each battle is different, and the enemies are different, so you're encouraged to try different strategies and combos and things to see how it goes. And if that weren't enough, at some point, once you beat the prologue of the game, you need to make a choice on which character you're going to have accompany your main character, and this fundamentally changes the game. So there's 4 different choices that you can make, and these characters can interact with the world in different ways, break through tree stumps, go through small passages, and their combat options are different. So there's replayability in the sense that you could play it again with a different character and maybe go different places, or unlock different treasures because of having a different character. So it's a different experience depending on who you choose. So on Steam, it says, after the years of silence, the dreaded towers once again play their haunting songs. Overcome challenging, crafted encounters with the tower runner of your choice in this compelling strategy role-playing game. Stop the song and save the land if you can. And the tags are early access, which will be over by the time this review comes out, because I'm going to release it with full release. Tactical RPG, dungeon crawler 2D, and what I feel like, you should think about Final Fantasy 2 and 3, Secret of Mana, Chrono Trigger, like these old school SNES and even Sega Saturn early PlayStation RPGs is the vibe that I got from the game. And so if you like those kind of turn-based games, this is for you. So let's talk about some elements of Tower Song. first of all, with a review, I always want to say, is the game fun? And yes, I have a lot of fun playing Tower Song because I love games like this. I love the music, I like the graphics, and I love the feel of the game. So I have a lot of fun playing the game. And plus, it's just so great to not have to get into a random battle and not feel like it's tedious, not be upset because I'm taking damage, because I know I'm going to heal up right after. And I love games that really respect your time with quality of life choices. But that being said, it doesn't like compromise on difficulty. You'll still get rolled on a fight if you're not being strategic and paying attention, especially boss fights. So you really need to, read the descriptions, understand your abilities and the enemy's abilities, and make good choices to survive. But it never feels like I'm losing because I didn't grind for a million hours, or I don't have the certain drop that I'm looking for, which I really enjoy. Now, next, I like to talk about the controls. How are the controls in a game? Well, for Tower Song, the controls are fantastic because it's basically the most, straightforward adaptation of an old school RPG, JRPG. And I played it with the gamepad, and everything made perfect sense with the controller, had no issues. Now, a subset of the controls that I always talk about are the systems in the UI. How do the game systems work, and how does the UI help you navigate them? So the main thing you're going to be doing is fighting, and the combat system is fantastic. I think it's really varied. The differences between the characters are wild, and there's no like generic stock fighter. Everybody is different, so it feels like you're getting to create synergies and combos that are fundamentally different play styles, different strategies for combat, and I like that a lot. So that system works well. You can do interesting things in combat. Everything about combat is well articulated, and that system works well. Exploring the map works really nicely. There's just little shining points so you know where to go to get treasures, to find lore. And the crafting system is super forgiving. The leveling choices are cool, and the game is paced very well. So I think that the systems in the game all work extremely well. And as far as the UI, it is super transparent. Everything is explained to you. You can easily compare and contrast items. You can see what buffs you have. In combat, the UI is fantastic. You have a turn order. You can see your life. You get a description of your abilities, your buffs, your debuffs, the enemy's abilities and debuffs and buffs. It's all right there in the game. Very, very clear, easy to read, as expected. No real surprises, which is good because you kind of just can settle into this game right away and play it and enjoy it. And I think the UI for the crafting system and for dialogue works very, very well. So moving on from that, let's talk about the story in the game. I was actually impressed by the story. It's really cool. It pulls you in. You're kind of, part of a group of warriors with a task, and they have a history, and the prologue is an excellent way to get to know all of these people, and then you make choices on who your main two characters are that you want to travel with, which creates the unique game experience. And what's nice that developers were telling me is you could basically complete the game without doing too much side stuff in about 14 or 15 hours on the story mode, but you can then play it again with another character, get a different game experience, perhaps, encounter some different things, and keep stacking up time. So it's not like it's going to be one of those, RPGs that just feels like it takes way too long. Even, at times, Dragon Quest XI, which I really enjoyed, at the 100-hour mark, I was kind of like, all right, let's go. Like, it just keeps going and going. I don't know if I needed all of this. And this is a nice tight package, which is on par with games from this era. If you think back to how long it took you to beat some of these older RPGs, it was not 100 hours, it was 20 to 30 or even shorter. So I think it's right in that wheelhouse, and it's great. So I enjoyed the story in the game. Now, as far as the visuals and the graphics, I think they are well done. They're not the best that you've ever seen in the sense of some of the throwback games now have, incredible HD graphics. But what I like about them is that they are true to the time. Like, you could see this on, Sega CD, SNES, Saturn, early PlayStation, and they are of that type. So it feels fitting with the way in which the game wants to channel that era, and I like it. I love, the pixelated graphics in the towns and the areas are super crisp. I like it a lot. And then the overly pixelated items are kind of a nice touch. And visually, the game looks really good. It has nice, vibrant colors, so I enjoy it. It has cool battle effects and such. As far as the music is also really good because it is just a nice, some of the synth effects I can feel like almost like they're from, the chipset of the SNES and that era, which is really cool. I think that the music is good and the sound effects are also fun. So how does that all come together in a sense of style? Like, does Tower Song feel like it's just, a nice mishmash of parts, but it's an empty shell, or that it just feels really derivative and not unique? Honestly, I wasn't sure what to make of the game when I, first heard about it, but once I started playing, you could tell that this is a labor of love, that the people who made this game love this era of gaming, put so much into the game to make your experience pleasurable and your quality of life very high, give you a fun story, give you unique characters and battle situations, strategy to think about, the ancestry of this era of gaming. And so for me, the sense of style is through the roof because it's people who played these games, who love these games, who are making a game of that type. And they do it so well that you can feel the love for the game, and you can't really help but be caught up in the infectious nature of, what a joy it is to play a game of this type by people who clearly grew up playing it as well. So I like that a lot. So overall, how would I grade Tower Song? And normally I like to use the Metacritic reviews and the Steam reviews as a ground, but I'm doing this review using an early glimpse of the full release, and that because of that, there's really no reviews for the game. There's very, very few things out there, so I have to kind of give the review based just on my own without any baseline. And for that, I give Tower Song right now a B+. I think it's a great game. I think it's a super fun game, and it's so well done. And that score could potentially change after I clear the game and if I have different feelings about it. But as of now, I think it's a fun game. I'm excited to see it. I enjoy playing it. And I think it's very well done. So I'm happy with it, and I give it a B+. And let's now talk about whether or not I recommend this game to you. So first thing I want to say is, if you like JRPGs, if you grew up playing Final Fantasy, Chrono Trigger, Secret of Mana, or Phantasy Star on the Sega Genesis or whatever it is, then this is a game for you because it is in that wheelhouse. But even if you like contemporary, JRPGs like the Persona series or something like that, this will resonate, I believe. So you need to be a person who enjoys RPGs, JRPGs, and, classic retro gaming, perhaps. But even then, I think if you're a modern gamer, they have updated this formula so much that it's not painful like it used to be, and it respects your time, which allows me to recommend it to a wider audience. So I talk about difficulty first, and luckily this game is not overly difficult. It's not going to make you bang your head against the wall. You don't need to grind. It is challenging. Some of the boss fights, I was very, very close to where I could have died, but I didn't. And I like that. I like that it's very well balanced and well done. You have to think, but it's not so bad that I'm just like being like, okay, well, this is just RNG, trash, and I don't want to have to deal with this. It's very frustrating. I never got that vibe. I think it's very well balanced and fair in terms of difficulty. As far as value goes, this game, I believe, is, I think, $17 American. Now that might be just for early access. It might go slightly up on full release, but it's still priced to move. I think it's an incredible value. You're going to probably play the game at least once, if not more than that, if you really get into it. And I think that it's a steal for the price, and it's a great value. And then replayability is conveniently just baked into Tower Song because you know that you're going to get a different experience, not only in terms of where you can explore and how you can interact with the world, but also just the combat overall will be fundamentally different with a new character in your party, and the dialogue will be different. So you get replayability, and because of that, because of the quality of life, because of how much the game respects your time and friendly it is to you, honestly, I can recommend this to anybody who likes turn-based RPGs. Even if you aren't from, didn't grow up playing those older games and are a younger gamer, I still think that Tower Song is something you should check out. All right, everybody, so that's my grade and review of Tower Song, and I'd love to know what you think of the game and the impressions that you get from the gameplay you've seen throughout this video. Have you played Tower Song? Are you interested in playing it? Do you think my grade is fair? What are your thoughts and opinions? Let me know in the comments below, and I will be putting a link to the Steam page in the description below so you can check out Tower Song and get more info about it as well. Everyone, thank you so much for watching. Take care.